It's a good time to tell you that I have been going through some stuff, mostly in my head. But today I am forced to confess it because the lectionary or the universe has conspired against me. I've been working on a series of talks, and it's been a series of talks that has been delayed by recent events like hurricanes, obligations out of town, the passing of a musical hero. And I felt compelled to give all of these subjects my attention on recent Sundays, pushing that upcoming sermon series back a bit because launching into this series, and I will launch into it at some point soon, requires a great deal of energy and concentration. And those are two things that for me are in short supply these days. This second bout with COVID this summer reignited a lot of my long COVID symptoms. So a lot of brain fog, a lot of crushing fatigue have returned as my constant companion over these last few weeks. So this week, I thought I'll return to the lectionary, catch my breath, give myself a little emotional and cognitive break. And lo and behold, there is this reading from Psalm 90 mocking me. This psalm, thought to be one of the oldest, maybe passed along by Moses himself. It begins well enough. Lord, you have been there for us generation after generation. Before anything existed, you were here. 1,000 years in your sight is just like a blink of an eye. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You are the wondrous more, the eternal ground of all being, the forever I am. God is boundless, timeless, endless. We, on the other hand, are none of those things. God, you turn people back to dust. You sweep people away in the sleep of death. We are like the new grass of the morning. We spring up green and fresh, but by evening we're withered away. And then the author does the math for us. Our days may come to 70 years or 80 if we have strength. That's it. That's all you're going to get. People who live in blue zones live a little longer, I'm told. And the people that take really good care of themselves, they can live a little bit longer. And those who are taking care of themselves, that usually means they're not having much fun. And mostly eating lawnmower clippings and wood shavings. But they live a little longer. But after all of these centuries, since these words were put to paper, the average holds. The global life expectancy average, and we Americans live a little longer than this, 72 and a half years. That's what I'm saying. And I learned something else this week. It's called the HALE, H-A-L-E score. Healthy life expectancy. The average age that one lives without disability or limitations. 62 and a half years. And the reason the lectionary is just kicking me in the teeth this morning is last week my oldest child turned 26 years old. That's young. But if you're the father of a 26-year-old, you're not as young as you used to be. Who said you're old? Who said that over there? All right, Murphy. And yes, this coming week, I will celebrate another birthday. And if I am globally average, I have less than two decades left to live. And my HALE score is now down to single digits. In addition, I'm still processing this grandparent thing. Now, I've been told it's the greatest thing ever, and I won't argue against that. But when my middle son called me earlier this year to say that he and his wife were expecting, it was then, at that moment, as I hung up the phone with him, that I knew I was going to die. Unconsciously, I was certain that I was going to live forever. We all think that when we're young, or at least the thought of our death doesn't cross our minds very much. Other people die, not me. I'm built different. Other people get feeble. I won't. Other people have aching joints and arthritis. Never happening. Other people take all those pills and have all those doctor's appointments. Weaklings. Other men have to trim their nose hair and shave their ears. It'll never happen to me. Other people become tottering old grandparents. Other people age and get wrinkles. Other people have to downsize to one level because they can't do the stairs anymore. Other people forget things and lose things and confuse things. Not me. I'm boundless, timeless, and endless. Well, that attitude is one of two things. Sheer arrogance, which comes with youth, or it's foolishness bordering on insanity. I'll go with the latter one. Because the main admonition from Psalm 90 is verse 12. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Wise up, kids. You're not going to live forever. No one ever has, and you won't be the first. Learn to use the time you have, brief as it is, as wisely as possible. It's like economics, really. Supply and demand. You remember that class? Your time is in limited supply. It's a non-renewable source. Thus, the demand is high, and the value of it is beyond precious. How we spend it is important. So let's think of it like this slide, if you would. Tomorrow morning, I deposit into your bank account $1,440. Thank you, you're welcome. It's hypothetical. It's all yours to do with as you please, no strings attached. $1,440. Nice deposit, won't make you rich. Now, I'm going to deposit that same amount on Tuesday morning. $1,440. And Wednesday morning and Thursday morning, all week long. After the deposit next Sunday morning, you will have $10,080. But I'm not finished. I'm going to make this daily deposit into your account every day for an entire year. And when I'm finished, 365 days at $1,440 each, you're going to have $500,000. $525,600 to be exact. Now, how would you spend that? How would that change your life? Now, every day that you wake up in your bed and you draw air into your lungs, you get, as it were, a deposit of $1,440. They are not dollars, they are minutes. 1,440 minutes. Every week, you get about 10,000 minutes. Every year, you get 525,600 minutes to do with those minutes as you please. Here's the catch. There is no savings account. The minutes don't roll over. When they're gone, they're gone. And you don't get to go back and to reuse them. How would it change our lives? How would it change our perspectives and our motivations, the goals that we set for ourselves, if we realize how precious few minutes that we are given to live the life that we have been given? I think it requires a plan. A plan. I don't need no silly plan. I'm just going to take it how life gives it. Well, I understand, and I'm not talking about spreadsheets and whiteboards and SWOT analysis. You don't need a day-by-day action plan for the next decade of your life. You don't necessarily need a life coach or to go out and buy every Tony Robbins book that's in print. In fact, please do not do that. Thank you. But you do have to be intentional. If you do not act deliberately with your life, if you do not choose how you're going to spend the precious days you have wisely, then your life will be dictated by others. Your surroundings, your circumstances will control you. The inevitable flow of the routine will take your time away from you, and your days, your life will just happen. And you'll get to the end of your life and ask, what happened? And being the humans that we're all susceptible to this. Well, I married her because she was the one I was with the longest, and I thought it would just work out. I live here because this is where I've just always lived. I do this work because, well, it's the work I know to do. And people will live their entire lives completely passive. Their circumstances and environment completely dominate the direction of their lives. And they might talk or dream about being different, but things will never change so long as there is no intentional movement to change them. If you just let life happen, is that really the wisest way to use the one life that you have been given? Doug and Anna saw for the first time, I think this past week, the Grand Canyon. That's worthy of your time if you have not seen that yet. Imagine that you're going to the Grand Canyon and you're going to take your kids or your grandkids on this great epic road trip. Don't you think that requires a little planning? No, you don't have to know where you're going to sleep every single night along the way. You don't have to plan out every single meal and know the exact time you're going to pass by every mile marker. There are some people that do that sort of thing, trying to control every single second of life and trying to control all the people around them. And such people are suffering from psychosis. And they tend to suffocate all the joy out of everything that is otherwise good. No room for spontaneity, no permission to wander off course, no going with the flow. There is only this clenched teeth and a calendar to keep and a stopwatch and a tight schedule, and it makes everybody's rear ends even tighter than the schedule, and God save us from that. So no, you don't have to have all the details before you leave, but you have to know where you're going, and you have to have a general idea of how to get there. We're going to the Grand Canyon, kids, hooray! And everybody gets in the car. No bags are packed, no luggage, no reservation at the peak of tourist season. You didn't check your bank account, so you run out of money. You didn't check in with your job. You don't have any vacation days, so you get fired. You didn't check the roadworthiness of your car, so you break down somewhere in West Texas, which is hell. You didn't even look at a map. You just went. There are 4 million miles of public roads in this country. Do you know how many of those roads lead to the visitor center at the southern rim of the Grand Canyon? 1. Route 64 from Williams, Arizona. It'll take a little bit of intentionality to get there. There are some people who have no idea where they're going in life. Maybe we can help them, maybe we can't. But there are many, many more people who have a picture in their mind of what they are after, what they hope life to be, how they hope to spend tomorrow. And they sit around thinking about it, but they never take concrete steps to get there. Where there is no vision, the people perish, the Proverbs says. And that is certainly true. Here is another proverb. Proverbs 21:5. I like Eugene Peterson's version. Careful planning puts you ahead in the long run. Hurry and scurry only puts you further behind. And then Frederick Buechner. There is always the temptation to believe that we have all the time in the world, whereas the truth of it is we do not. We have only this one life, and the choice of how we are going to live it must be our own choice to make, not one that we let the world or others make for us. So let's dispel ourselves of our foolishness, individual and collective. We are all coming to an end. It'll be your funeral or mine. And if it is me before you, I need to share a couple things with you. I don't want no stinking green bean casseroles, cold macaroni and cheese, and dried up Publix fried chicken being eaten by my family around a kitchen table. I want a party with music playing. Bob Dylan, Chris Christopherson, Merle Haggard, Fleetwood Mac, Willie Nelson, U2's entire Joshua Tree album just to make Ricky mad, a dash of yacht rock for Cindy, and plenty of the angelic voice that is Eva Cassidy. I want my life insurance spent on an open bar. Y'all are hoping I check out today. I see how it is. Plenty of lemonade, plenty of Arnold Palmers for those that are working their recovery steps. Let's have salmon with lemon, capers, olives, and butter. Angel hair pasta with bolognese sauce. Vegan options for those that are still eating grass. Grill and shuck oysters until everyone gets gout afterwards. And finish it all by serving chilled chocolate pie with meringue a foot thick. And then you can all tell stories about me because I've had all these years with this bully pulpit telling stories about you. Is that okay? It's my funeral, right? I don't want to punch out today or any time in the near future, but I'm not in control of most things. Am I? And you aren't either. I'm not necessarily the master of my own fate, nor can I manage the how and when my life comes to an end. But I do have a lot to say and do about today, about the life I have been given to live today. And you do too. Teach us to number our days. That means to count them. Be aware of how brief your life is. And then it also means to make them count. Because it appears these are the only days we will get. Count them and make them count. To that end, a final story. A group of men are sitting at their local diner on a Saturday morning. It's the classic liar's table. You know what I'm talking about? Every community has one. Every small little cafe has one. The boys eating an early breakfast, drinking coffee, and telling tall tales. On this Saturday morning, one of the men is complaining, rightfully so, about his workload. He's too busy. He can't make it to his daughter's recital because he will be out of town with work. And a couple others chime in with the same complaints, lamenting how they haven't reached the point in life where there is more enjoying and less working and less worrying. And the old man at the table listens for a while, and he finally says this: let me tell you boys what can get your priorities straight. It's called the rule of 4,000. Let's say you live to be 77 years old. That's about the average. Some live longer, some not, but that's a good number, double sevens. Well, one day I did a little arithmetic. I multiplied 77 times 52. That's 4,004. Let's call it 4,000 even. That's how many Saturdays the average person will get in their entire lifetime. Now, I didn't start thinking about this until I was about the age of some of you. I did the math and figured out I had 20 or so good years left. That's 1,000 Saturdays. I went out that very day and bought every marble I could find. I rounded up to 1,000 marbles. I put them in a giant jar, clear so I could see them, and I put it in the corner of my office. Every Saturday, I take a marble out of that jar and throw it away. Nothing has concentrated my mind or helped me set my priorities more than to literally watch those marbles disappearing. Then he said this: just this morning, I took the very last marble out of that jar. So if I make it to next Saturday, I figure I will be living on extra time. And that's what I hear you boys saying, that you'd like to have a little extra time. Well, the only way to have extra time is to realize how little time you actually have and to make that time count, because we're all losing our marbles. Now, I don't know how many you need, but 1,000 marbles can be bought on Amazon for less than $40 and delivered to your house by Tuesday. And it might be the best investment some of you make in a long, long time.